Hi, and welcome to the Randy Karraker Show. Good to have you with us on STL Sports Central. With Matthew Rocchio, I'm Randy Karraker. Here you go. So here's what you need to do. You just use the Google machine. Okay, it's called google.com. And just Google Angie Mock side by side. Angie Mock, former Channel 2 anchor and reporter.
Oh, no.
Like from 2012 to 2014. And she's just killing it. How you doing, Matthew?
Good. Wilson, it sounds like our mics might be a little bit. Want to hit the?
Did you miss that?
You want to hit the button for us?
Okay. Was I not on?
No, down. Nope. There you go. No, up one more. There you go. Now we should be good, Randy.
Okay. So I was.
Oops.
Oh, there we are.
Wrong way.
We did we not have any audio before?
I think purposely Wilson ran great guns back there and decided to save us all by killing your audio.
Just doing murder jokes. It's funny.
Oh yeah, there you go. Unbelievable.
Here.
No.
Yes.
Not again.
So Rob Fischer, St. Louis, and Rob Fischer is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. He was at Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah. How about the way that worked out? The Grizzlies were playing the Raptors last night. They
Nice.
have a game tonight as well. But they're up there in Toronto, and Rob Fischer and some folks, I believe, from the Memphis Crew, all found their way up to Game 7 for the end of a wild World Series.
It was a great series. Congratulations to Tommy Edman on getting another ring. Congratulations to the Doyers. And hopefully the Cardinals can do that at some point.
I think the more apt comparison might be to the Blue Jays, and maybe the Cardinals can also go from last place one season to a World Series contender in the next.
That'd be nice. And sign a guy for $500 million in the first month of the season.
I mean, I think maybe we could make a comparison to signing one of your young up-and-coming players to an extension that shows your dedication to the future. I think maybe we should just make that comparison because that's the only realistic one I have, because as a lot of people in the chat have pointed out, the Cardinals do not have a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but hey, they got a Gold Glover. They got a Gold Glover.
They do have a Gold Glover. And a couple of things before we get to the Gold Glover. Let's talk first about the stars that played for Toronto. And one of the reasons that you ask Chaim Bloom about the fact that the Cardinals have not performed well in the international market and they need to perform well in the international market is because most good teams have good players from the international market, whether it's the Blue Jays with a guy like Vlad Guerrero, whether it's the Doyers when you have Yamamoto and you have Ohtani and you have Sasaki and you traded for Teoscar Hernandez. There are a lot of really good players there for LA that came from the international market. So the Cardinals upgrading their scouting in Latin America will benefit them greatly. One other note, and we'll talk to Rob Fischer about this later on, the Dodgers spent almost $500 million on their roster when you include salary and taxes. Yet in Game 7 on Saturday night, they did not use a single designated relief pitcher. They used their $1.2 billion in starting pitchers. Robleski was the closest thing to a reliever. He didn't start a ton of games this year, but their top 5 starters that were still on the team in terms of starts were all utilized, whether it was Ohtani to start the game or Snell or Glasnow or obviously Yamamoto to finish up. It was pretty amazing that they used all starters out of their bullpen. You would think that when you spend almost $500 million on a lineup and on a group of players that you would have maybe one relief pitcher that you would trust, but that guy wasn't there, whether it was Blake Trinan and they didn't have a couple of their guys. Vesia had I believe a personal issue back home, so he wasn't available. Yeah. But even still, when you play 11 innings, maybe one guy that is a designated relief pitcher.
And again, this is, my reason, one of the reasons why I'm kind of anti-Dodgers is because they always have something to lean on, because every part of their organization is well funded. Every part of their roster is well funded. They spend a lot of money on relievers. They spend a lot of money on starters. They spend a lot of money on their lineup. You were talking, as we will later, about how much money they spend on player development, how much they spend on international scouting, how much they spend on pro scouting and analytics departments and things like that. They pump money in, and if you spend money correctly, it can get you a lot of good things. And so when you look at how the Dodgers won this World Series, the lineup that they spent a lot of money on didn't really do much, hit like just over 200 for this for this series, but the starting pitching they spent a lot of money on certainly stepped up throughout this series, and that's what really won them this series over a really good hitting overall Blue Jays lineup. You obviously had big moments from Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette, but like Addison Barger had 2 hits in every single game except for 1, 6 out of 7 in a World Series. That's pretty incredible. So it's just that the Dodgers, it doesn't matter what fails, as long as all 9 things don't fail across the board, they're fine. 5 things can fail, but they still have 4 things running at a higher level that they spend a lot more money than you did, and that's just it's tough to beat, and that's why they repeated for the first time in a half century. Sorry, a quarter century.
First time in 25 years. There's a couple of things about that bullpen. The Dodgers don't make many mistakes. One of the things the Cardinals under John Mozeliak did, and I think we can all agree, they made a lot of financial mistakes, whether it was signing people like Cecil or Andrew Miller, or the Piscotty extension didn't work out, or when they signed Dexter Fowler, that didn't work out, or when they signed Mike Leake. There were a lot of mistakes that were made. Even with all that money, the Dodgers can afford to make mistakes, and they don't make a ton of them. So that works to their advantage. And to your point, the Dodgers were able to take advantage of things that really weren't even there. The Blue Jays weren't putting people on base. The very first home run that the Dodgers hit in the World Series was a 2-run shot by Shohei Ohtani. They hit 10 more home runs during the World Series. How many people were on base for those 10 home runs? 0. It was 10 solo home runs, including one by Muncy in the 8th, one in the 9th, and then obviously one in the 11th by Will Smith. So Rojas hit the game-tying home run in the 9th. So, like you say, even when things go wrong, they're able to overcome them. They didn't have people on base. Could have hit a bunch of 3-run homers, but Toronto wasn't giving them the opportunities to do it. Normally, you're okay giving up a solo homer, but you give up 1 in the 8th, 1 in the 9th, 1 in the 11th, you're probably going to lose the game.
Samuel, how did you see their new clubhouse facilities? Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I love this from Nancy Pratt. She was at the Eagles concert at the Sphere on Saturday night, and Don Henley was giving regular score updates.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty fantastic.
All of that is pretty cool. I love that.
Cole Bassett's left foot. Expect a wave of Japanese signings, not just for star power, but for the postseason impact. He went on to say Japanese pitchers are throwing 100 miles per hour in October. The Cardinals are still debating if 88 with movement counts as quote unquote electric. Here's the thing about the Japanese pitchers thing. That had to be anomalous, because at least logic dictates to you that a bunch of pitchers who their entire career have been pitching 6-man rotations normally aren't going to be built to do what Yamamoto just did.
And Yamamoto did it, but Ohtani didn't pitch much during the regular season, didn't pitch until July, and never gave him a ton of innings. Sasaki barely pitched at all during the regular season, and they made him a closer. So yes, Blake Snell too. And Blake Snell, I think I've said this before, told Greg Amsinger before the season started that the Dodgers were going to do something a little different with him. And basically what they did was have him pitch April, part of May, sit him down for the rest of May, June, July, August. He pitches in September, and they get him ready like it's opening day of the regular season, but it's opening day of the postseason. Glasnow didn't have to pitch. I mean, if you look at what they were able to accomplish in terms of winning their division without having starting pitching, without having their guys, it was ridiculous. And that's one thing they don't have to do. They obviously were bored during the regular season, but they only have one starter that made 30 starts, and that was Yamamoto. All the other guys were, I think Dustin May might have been second on their team, and they traded him in starts with 18. Kershaw might have had more than that, but it was, and he didn't start a game in the World Series. So you've got Yamamoto, Kershaw, and then Snell made like 12 starts and Glasnow made like 14. Yeah, it's ridiculous how many starts that team missed, and they didn't miss a beat because they wound up winning the World Series because of the way they were able to do things. So congratulations to them. Also, congratulations to Masyn Winn, the Cardinals shortstop. maybe the best defensive player in baseball this year, right among the top 5 at least. And he had a press conference today, a Zoom press conference, and talked about winning the Gold Glove and talked about how even though that was his goal for 2025, he wants to do more in 2026.
Yeah, so let me throw up the quotes here from our good friend Masyn Winn. He was fantastic. We got to meet Nico today. That's his cat, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And so this is what he said after his goals. The biggest thing is I just got to improve offensively. Hitting wise, yeah, there's a lot to improve on. I'm working out down here at Cressy. I've heard a lot of good things and I've loved it so far. Pretty much every offensive aspect I kind of regressed this year. So, going forward, hopefully I have a full healthy season and I'll be able to put a good year under my belt.
So I wonder if the fact that he had a different hitting coach in Brant Brown in 2025 as opposed to Turner Ward in 2024, I wonder if that contributed at all to his regression. But there are a lot of Cardinals down there working. Jordan Walker is at Cressy working. He mentioned that J.J. Weatherholt is there, a few other guys. So there's a lot of Cardinals working with alternate hitting instructors. And I thought it was really interesting. And I wonder how Chaim Bloom feels about this, that he said he really doesn't know a lot about analytics and how to use them. And that's one of the things that he's learning about at the Cressy Academy.
Yes, one of the other quotes here, and this was from a question by Derek Gould, and we'll hit some of the other quotes that he had. I'm going to have him kind of thrown around in the top bar here. Talking about analytics and potentially a new swing in 2026. I know I can get the ball out of the ballpark, but this year I definitely realized that when I try to hit a home run, it doesn't normally happen. This next year I'm going to try to catch a lot of barrels, get a lot of hits, just get on base. My apologies for the typo there. One thing I like about these guys down here at Cressy is they're big on the metrics and analytics, and I don't know too much about that stuff. I think Jay Walks is down here as well. Once I start swinging again and getting my swing right, building it from the ground up, we're going to kind of start at ground zero and build the swing up. I feel like my swing has been kind of all over the place last year. It's going to be huge for me, I think. Your thoughts on hearing the analytics and metrics comment and hearing that he's going to rebuild his swing here coming out of the injury?
Well, I'm glad that he has the information, and I'm glad that he's able to decipher the information and find out why things are happening to him. And I talked to Matt Adams. If you haven't seen the Matt Adams interview here at STL Sports Central, check it out. There are some guys who are see the ball, hit the ball, that don't want to be overloaded with analytics. There are other guys that want to know every little aspect of their swing. And it's great that if you do want to know every little aspect of your swing, that you have access to it. And that's what Masyn Winn has right now. And hopefully it will make him better. I know that Carlos Correa literally went into the Houston Astros front office when he was there and said, hey, what do you value? What do you pay players for? So the Astros told him every little thing because it was going to be more valuable to them in the short run. And he improved in every little analytics thing, got his WAR up. And then that's why he got the big contract ultimately from the Minnesota Twins. Hopefully that's something that will make a guy like Masyn Winn a better player. Hopefully he'll learn what the team values to help them win, and he can help the Cardinals win a World Series.
By the way,
I have no problem at all with guys that can utilize the information, having the information. What bothers me is teams that think that everybody can utilize the organization and they shove it down their throat and the guy has no use for it. And then he goes up and their mind's a pretzel at the plate.
Yeah, I think that's fair. By the way, for people who don't know, Cressy refers to Eric Cressy Sports Performance, which it's based in Massachusetts and Florida. I think when he says down here, I think him and Jordan Walker are both working at the Florida Florida place. So that's by the way, if you guys want to check that out, you can just go to Eric Cressy, and it's Cressey if you guys want to get some more information on what's going on down there, potentially what Masyn Winn and Jordan Walker are working on. Some of the other quotes that we had from Masyn Winn, I have them up here in the top bar for everybody. I probably could have shut it down a lot earlier. I thought that was interesting. Brendan Schaefer kind of asked him about playing through the injuries, but clearly winning this Gold Glove was a big thing for him. And so there was obviously some kind of internal conversation where I'm sure there was something along the lines of, well, usually guys who win the Gold Glove have to play this many games or this many innings.
Right. Once
you get to this level, or do you be comfortable? Let us know if the pain gets up. So did you have any kind of trepidation with a young player, but obviously he hasn't risked anything, but in the moment, a young player comes to you and says, I really want to win an award, but I am injured. And you say, yeah, well, as long as you're feeling fine, we're good with it.
Yeah. And it didn't matter
Yeah.
really at that point, whether the team won or lost. There was only a week or two left in the season. And if a guy wants to enhance his own value and he thinks he can still play and he wants to compete, I'm never going to tell a guy to not compete. Sometimes
I love that he admitted
yeah,
and was so open about it.
Yeah. Sometimes what you have to do, you have to protect the player from himself. If a player is causing you to lose, Kurt Warner, 2002, right, when he broke the finger and wanted to play in Philadelphia, should not have played, but so competitive, and the coach was very competitive, thought he could go and he couldn't, and it wound up being a mess and kind of wound up ending his Rams career. But there are players who can play through the pain and who are very self-aware. That was Kurt's issue. He wasn't very self-aware. He thought that he could go do it despite the injury. But a guy like Masyn Winn, if he feels like he can help the team win and he's not going to hurt himself more and the team doesn't disagree with him, let him go.
Yeah. So he really admitted to pushing himself and he wins the Gold Glove. And I think it's incredible. He also talked about how well the surgery went. They've been able to expedite the process. That's a direct quote from Masyn Winn on the recovery. So everything went well. He's doing great. And now he's looking at about 6 weeks post-op is when he's going to be able to start swinging again. And you heard again, he's already working down in Florida with Cressy. And his plan is to kind of rebuild that swing from the ground up. And he can start doing that 6 weeks out of surgery, which is just a few weeks down the road.
I'll be interested to see if the swing looks any different in 2026. And we'll have to ask the Cardinals what sort of association they have with Cressy. If they're on the same page with so many Cardinal players down there, if they're on the same page and if they're talking about what the players are trying to accomplish and they have the exact same philosophy, or if there are philosophical differences between the Cardinals and the people that are teaching their players new swings.
And let's loop this back to the conversation we were just having about the Dodgers, because I wonder how many Dodgers prospects, are how many times are they working, with a thing like Cressy Sports Performance, when the Dodgers, I'm sure, because of just the unbelievable amount of assets that they have, there's probably somebody in the Dodgers organization who does exactly what Cressy does. And I'm not saying they don't do it better or worse or anything like that. I'm not trying to make a judgment call there. It's just why would you go outside of the organization if your organization has everything you need and there's no need to go outside it, because all the facilities, all the coaches, all the whatever are right there in house. And I'm sure that I wonder how much that the difference is there between the Dodgers and other organizations and how much they have to use outside help.
I was told one time by a Cardinal staffer that there was a Cardinal player that wasn't listening to the hitting coach, and it bothered the Cardinals, but the Cardinals didn't have what that player desired. And the way it was described to me is that if a player has a personal coach, whether it's hitting or fielding or whatever, if the Dodgers have that guy, they'll go to the player and say, hey, what are you looking to accomplish here? What do you want to get out of this when you go to that personal coach? What's he able to do for you? And they get the information from the player, they digest it, and then they have like 55 different coaches that they can go to the player and say, okay, we've got a guy that does exactly what you want done. And not only will he provide you what you need, but you don't have to pay for him. He's under our roof. We're paying him. We'll feed you. We'll take care of you, and we'll make you the player that you want to be, but it's being done by the people that are paying you. Isn't this cool? And so the player buys in because the Dodgers have the exact thing that the player wants, and there is no middleman. The Dodgers don't have to worry about a player going, in general, don't have to worry about a player going to somebody else and it not working out. This Cardinal player really struggled. The Yankees, they don't have any trouble with our local guy, teacher man, Richard Schenk, working with Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge is hitting great and Schenk is able to fix him. But there are issues, obviously, with some personal coaches. How about Colby Rasmus being coached by his dad? The Cardinals didn't take very well to that. There are some teams, organizations that don't like it. There's some organizations that don't mind it. And there are some more organizations that can't do anything about it because they don't have enough people to teach the players how to play. So the players kind of have to get somebody else to teach them how to play.
Well, you just mentioned him. So you, Mama, this is kind of perfect. I'm not a fan of the teacher man dude, but I think there is something to studying the mechanics from successful players who mirror your body type. And I can only think of one guy as big as Walker in Major League Baseball.
Oh, that would be Aaron Judge?
That would be Aaron Judge, I believe, is the comparison they're making. There's a couple of their 6'5", 250 guys, but yeah.
So, it's the thing is
his videos are weird. I'll say this right now.
Well,
the teacher man videos look really janky. And I understand if you're not like there working out and doing the full thing, that like the weird, like in the way he's got like the bat, like couch, like under his arm and he's doing like that uppercut thing. I understand why people immediately react to those videos poorly, but like you can't react to a video like that just in the moment and be like, well, that's what he's teaching them how to swing. It's all a process, a whole kind of plan. So I know why people react to it. I agree. The videos look really wonky, but clearly there's an effect to it.
And what this guy did, he decided to go in his basement and watch hours and hours and hours of Barry Bonds at bats and tapes and figured out why it is that Barry Bonds is able to accomplish what he does offensively. And then he somehow was able to get an audience with Aaron Judge and was able to help him out. There's a lot of people that aren't on board with what he teaches, but he's got that one guy. And hey, you know what? If Jordan Walker can make it work, I thought, you talk about 6'6", 260, kind of Mark McGuire-esque. You could have him work with him. Jack Clark was 6'4", 225, 230. Jack Clark was a big hitter. Matt Holliday, even the same line drive approach that Jordan Walker espouses. There's a lot of guys with the Cardinal lineage that would, I think, be really effective for Jordan Walker to work with. And the Cardinals didn't have much trouble with Nolan Arenado going and working with Matt Holliday. I don't know why they'd have a problem with a guy like Jordan Walker going and working with Matt Holliday, unless Matt's only working with his kids now. And I think that's the case.
Same with how he's isolating muscle groups. It's a good point.
Yeah, really good point. You know what? We've got a fun guest coming up. We're going to talk to our buddy Rob Fischer, the sideline reporter for Memphis Grizzlies basketball. But we want you to know about DraftKings and NFL fans. What's your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, it's the next one. Because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. The first touchdown scorer to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. And there are so many cool lines. You've got Masyn starting up tomorrow night. That'll be cool. You've got Monday Night Football tonight. How about Jacoby Brissett starting for my Cardinals? And maybe he'll throw a couple of touchdown passes. He's actually like minus 140 to throw a couple of touchdown passes.
Wow, that's actually incredible.
The little fella doesn't appear to be.
It's over.
Yeah, it kind of is.
It's over.
Yeah, for the little guy.
It's over.
Yeah, they don't want to have him hurt his tiny little feet anymore, so they're not having him go against the Cowboys. But you can bet on the Cardinals and the Cowboys tonight on DraftKings. And the best part is new customers bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
So outside of our building here, our studios here at STL Sports Central, it says 590 Studios, the old KFNS Studios. That's where we are. And our buddy Rob Fischer is a longtime veteran, and now he's a longtime voice of the sidelines of the Memphis Grizzlies. And look at that. He's got the suit and the tie. How you doing, brother, first of all?
I'm doing well. We had a game it's one of those back-to-backs that are miserable. Played in Toronto last night, got in about excuse me, about 12:30 a.m. Got a little sleep, and back at it tonight. Grizzlies hosting the Detroit Pistons tonight at FedEx Forum.
Do we have load management for sideline guys?
There needs to be, because I think I need it more than they need it. I mean, they're young. They can still. I remember when I was young in that age, I could run all day. Not so much anymore. No.
So Fish was at the World Series Game 7 the other night. He mentioned last night in Toronto. That must have been cool to get you and some people from the organization and go to Rogers Center and watch Game 7. You don't get many opportunities like that.
No, it was pretty cool. Zach Edey, our big center, last year's first-round pick for the Grizzlies, who went to Purdue, was the National Player of the Year a couple of years in a row in Purdue. He's from Toronto, and he was kind enough to buy tickets basically for whoever wanted to go out of the traveling party.
Wow.
And about 10 players went. Some staffers went. The broadcasts went. The PR department went. I mean, there were about 25 of us that ended up going to Game 7, and it was quite the surprise. We were looking forward to going to a bar, and watching Game 7 in Toronto, but then to get that news that we were going to the game, it was pretty exciting, and turned out to be a great game, a great baseball game, and a great Game 7. And I got to watch my favorite player in Shohei Ohtani, and got to watch Game 7 go to a stadium I've never been to before, and it was quite the night for sure.
Getting to watch one of the best ending games of one of the greatest World Series ever. Were there any players there who maybe hadn't been to a lot of baseball games, who kind of walked away enraptured by the game, getting to see maybe the absolute pinnacle of it being played?
I think everybody kind of left with the same feeling, and a lot of them, to be honest, aren't baseball fans, but they just wanted to see the experience, and I think everybody kind of came away with the fact that it was an electric atmosphere. Their game presentation is amazing. There's music, unless there's a pitch being thrown, there is music playing, and the crowd was on their feet the entire game. Every single pitch, the entire stadium was on their feet, to where I was exhausted after the game. I mean, it was unbelievable, and they were so nice, and there weren't a lot of Dodger fans in the crowd at all. I mean, really just behind the dugout, and that was it. But they were so nice, and you felt so bad for them, because it was so heartbreaking, and I think that's what people came away with the most was, man, those poor Blue Jays fans. It was just hard to watch, but yeah, I mean, a game that means something. It's a Game 7. I think if you're a professional athlete, you get up for that no matter what the sport.
It's Rob Fischer. If I would have been there, not partial to the Blue Jays or the Dodgers, but if I would have been next to a Blue Jay fan who was crying, I would have said, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Man, I'll tell you what, but for the first time in, I don't know how many years, I was sitting around telling the Denkinger story and telling the 85 World Series story. And, that I think one of the bad things about replay in sports is that fans don't really go through that mode of, we got screwed. I have one of my deepest sports memories was that my team got screwed. And I think that develops you. It gives you a little character as far as
scar, right? It's scar tissue.
A huge scar, exactly. For what you have for the good days, and so it's I think the Blue Jays fans certainly went through it, but they didn't. It's not the same, because they didn't get screwed. They were just 2 outs away from winning the World Series, and a guy who hadn't hit a home run in a couple of months goes deep on them, and then another guy goes deep in the 11th. So it was unbelievable. But it was crazy that those thoughts even came up in my head the last couple of days.
By the way, Fish, you guys were working last night and had a game, but I guarantee you that all of talk radio and all the podcasts in Kansas City today are talking about how they got screwed because there was a play that couldn't be replayed. They couldn't review it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, I think for the most part, I'm a fan of replay, especially because we've gotten to a point now where it's gotten quicker. It doesn't feel like it delays the game. And I think that's a big part of it. The NBA sometimes feels like it drags on a little bit longer than it should, but I think it's getting quicker. They're getting better at it. And it's fine. You get the call right, but sometimes that human error, man. Sometimes that human error was such a big part of sports for such a long time, and now it's not. And so that's the only part of it that I don't like. But for the most part, it's worked.
So for you, you said your favorite player, Shohei Ohtani. What was it like getting to see him in action in the biggest on the biggest stage?
I was lucky. A couple of years ago, we were in Los Angeles for the playoffs, and we had a couple of days off, and Anaheim was playing at home, and I got to go to a game and Shohei pitched, and that was awesome. Now I know Shohei pitched in Game 7 on Saturday, but we didn't get there till like the third inning, so or fourth inning, and he was already taken out of the game. So I only got to watch him hit, but he's watching him on TV is incredible. Getting to see him in person, he's like, you know, when we had the McGuire home run chase, and Randy, you know, every time you watched him bat, you expected him to hit a home run, and even though he didn't, a lot of times he did, and the same thing is with Ohtani. You expect something big every time. And you're not going to get it every time, but you get it a lot. And so it's fun. It's just fun to watch him hit. Just love the way he carries himself. He's a special talent and one of the best we've ever seen.
Is there an NBA guy like that?
LeBron.
LeBron.
I mean, even today, you know, people want to wipe him off and you know, say his career's over, but the guy is still magical. I mean, at the age that he's at, to average the points and rebounds and assists that he does is still incredible. He's just he's unbelievable. When he first came into the league, and I remember his rookie year, and I just looked at him and I thought, this is when high school kids were coming into the league, and I thought to myself, this guy is just different. He looks different. His body, he's a grown man. And he was from day one, and just getting to watch him. You know, Kobe was the same way. Getting to watch him in person it's really special, and you never take it for granted, because a lot of times you take these games for granted. It's one after another, and they all just kind of blend in. But it's pretty special to be able to watch some of those guys as close up as I get to.
That's a great point. And the LeBron thing too is, and you've seen the entire career play out. I don't know if there's a better example of a guy who everybody pushed to hit every accolade, and he's actually lived up to it every single step of the way. That's been the most incredible part about LeBron's career, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know that's a huge part of it. And I think, you know, something that needs to be said about LeBron James, you know, everybody's got an opinion on LeBron James. But if you want to know what's the worst thing off the court LeBron James has ever done, it's the decision.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that made a ton of money, millions of dollars for a children's group. I mean, so it was a bad decision for him to do it. I think in retrospect, he could have made the money for the children's group in a different way. But that's the worst thing he's ever done. I mean, I think he should be idolized, and he should be a guy that's just looked up to as being a great role model as a professional athlete.
That leads me to my next question, actually, because when you cover a team, I've covered a lot of teams. You have, Fish, Matthew is doing that now. You become emotionally invested, and you want to see the team do well. So with that being the case, when Ja stuff happens, when Ja Morant stuff happens, do you ever say to yourself, come on?
Well, sure. I think we all do. I think we all do. And then you quickly move on because you have to. And you quickly move on to, all right, hopefully it'll go away and everything will be fine. let's move on. Because this team it's not very good without Ja Morant on the floor. I mean, he's that good of a talent as far as making players around him better, as far as being electrifying as he is. This team needs Ja Morant, and they need him to play big minutes in games. And so when something like this happens, yeah, sure, you say, oh, man, because my first thing that when I think of this whole situation is, you know, what happens in the locker room is supposed to stay in the locker room, and that did not happen in this situation. And, you know, so I think everybody understands why he was suspended. You just hope it's a blip and you move on. I mean, if you ask me, do you think Ja will do something again down the road? I'd say I hope not.
And he's back tonight, right, against Detroit?
Yes, he'll be back tonight against Detroit.
What is it like? You're on the sideline. You're playing against the Spurs, and Cthulhu is apparently allowed to put a jersey on and play against the squad that you're talking about. What is it like to watch Victor Wembanyama in actual person? Take 2 steps from the 3-point line and dunk it over everybody.
There are only 4 people that this is my 19th year in the league. There are only 19th year working for the team. I've been around the league now for 23 years. But 4 guys that when I looked at them the first time I saw them, I was in awe. One was LeBron, who we talked about earlier. Another one was Shaquille O'Neal. He was at the scorer's table and he was fixing his tights under his shorts. And I looked at his leg and was like, oh my God. I mean, just a massive human being. The third guy is Yao Ming, who was the first guy at that size that I had seen who was proportionate. He was massive, a skyscraper, but his shoulders were huge. His arms were huge. His legs were huge. I mean, he was a big dude. And so that was the first time for that. And then the fourth one's Victor Wembanyama. When you come out and you watch him, the first time I watched him warm up, he had on black and white striped pants, like clown pants, right? Except black and white instead of red and white. And he's warming up, and I'm like, it looks like it looks like he's on stilts. I mean, he looks like a guy who's at a carnival who's on stilts. But then to see him, the way he can handle the ball and dribble and shoot from anywhere on the floor, score from all 3 levels, and then the block shots. I mean, he's scary, and it's scary to think that he's going to keep getting better because he's already at an elite level.
There are so many older players that early in the season are playing at a high level. Curry, Durant, LeBron will be back at some point. It seems to me, though, that we've gotten to a point, and OKC kind of proved it last year, that to play 7 months and then play all of those playoff games, it's not an old man's game anymore, is it?
No, I don't. And it's weird because in the Western Conference now you got, the Lakers with LeBron being their leader, although he's out right now, but he's old. He really is old. Golden State, their whole team, the Clippers, their whole team, they're old. I mean, it's amazing when I think of Golden State and they're not even as old as the Clippers. That amazes me. And a lot of that has to do with Chris Paul being on the Clippers. But I think that I don't think so, Randy. I don't think it's an old man's game, but maybe these old guys will maybe they'll surprise us. But to go 82 games, and especially in the West, I mean, we're talking about teams in the Western Conference too, and the Western Conference is a gauntlet. So that makes it even more difficult. And then to go through the rigors of the postseason, I find it very difficult for those teams to win. I think your Oklahoma City and San Antonio Spurs, the way these teams are built, very young and athletic, that's more the way now than ever before.
Rob, I'm not sure if the schedules line up, but if you can get back to Chaffetz for a game this year, I would suggest you do, because Josh Schertz and company, they're cooking up something special this year. And I tell you what, NBA style offense, Robbie Avila, a bunch of new shooters, the Billikens, talk about some fun basketball. They're going to be a blast to watch in Chaffetz this year.
I'd love to come see. I have not seen the arena yet, which I'm very disappointed in. So I would love to come visit, watch my Billikens play, and I miss watching the Billikens play. I try to catch them every time they're on ACC network, or not ACC network. Every time I see them on ESPN, whatever that they're going to be on, or wherever they're going to be, I try to catch them. So hopefully I'll see them even more this year. But I'd love to see them in person for sure.
Finally, Fish, before we let you go, you mentioned 19 years with the team, 23 years covering the NBA, an illustrious career. But as you look back, would it have happened without the Randy Karraker impersonation?
No, it would not have. Or Lou Holtz, or any of them that I had back in the day, just to try to make people laugh.
You did. You always made me laugh, and you still do. And you're doing great work. We love seeing you on the Grizzlies broadcasts. Have fun tonight against Detroit, and let's bring home a winner.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
See you, Fish. Take care.
Thank you so much to Rob Fischer. Like you said, it was an absolutely brutal schedule. Late night on Saturday, back-to-back games on Sunday, and now Monday. So big thanks to him for joining the show today.
And this is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and we've been doing this since February.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the first person ever associated with this show to wear a tie.
I think so. Yeah, I know we've had some coaches on too, but man, coaches are all casual now.
Right?
Yeah, I think he's the first one to wear a tie. Although we might have caught, I think we might have caught Rick Horton on the way to a speaking engagement that first time we had him on, but he wasn't on video. I think he had a tie on, but he was only audio because he was driving to the speaking engagement. But you're right, he was the first one on video with a tie. He's the absolute best. I love Rob Fischer. I love watching Grizzlies broadcasts when we catch them. And if you are a fan of the NBA and you want to tap into one of the teams really close, the Grizzlies games are actually carried right now on KLIS on 590.
Oh, there we go. That's good to hear. All right, a couple of other things. The Blues and the Oilers tonight. The Blues tied for the fewest points in the National Hockey League with Calgary. Each team has 8 points. The Blues have the worst goals against average in the league, 4.17. They aren't scoring much, 2.83 goals per game. And you know what's weird about that goals against the 4.17 is that they've allowed the 7th fewest shots. So you either have a lot of high danger chances or the goalies aren't doing their job, one or the other, right? And I tend to lean towards the goalies not doing their job. The Blues do get Robert Thomas back tonight, and hopefully they'll win some faceoffs. That's a big part of the problem that they've had is they just haven't had possession of the puck. And as Coach Jim Montgomery mentioned on Saturday, just way too many turnovers. They have not done a good job of possessing the puck, and they need to get the puck, maintain possession in the offensive zone, and protect their goalies a little bit.
And you know what? That's a great point. I had an analytics buddy send me some charts on the Blues. And listen, Joel Hofer letting in the first goal is bad, or the first shot is bad. But breaking down the full numbers right now from his 5 starts, comparing it to Binnington's run right now through this season, and obviously a lot of 2 or 3 of Hofer's starts have been cut short. Hofer, the defense is failing Joel Hofer just as much as he is failing this team. Whereas he's let in some bad goals, but they are letting a ton of high danger chances in the slots, in the most dangerous areas all over Joel Hofer. Whereas if you look at the heat map around a Jordan Binnington goal, it's cold. They are protecting the crease. They're keeping people out of the slot for Jordan Binnington, and then he's cleaning up the majority of everything else. And so that's why, yes, we got to focus on the goaltending, but for me still, this is a team that is disjointed and isn't playing like we talked about earlier. They're not connected on that string, and that's why they're failing consistently.
And I wonder why that is. Why would they perform better in front of one goalie than the other goalie? It's a strange dynamic and a strange dilemma for Marty to deal with. I think part of it could be, and it's not like Binnington doesn't face any high danger chances.
Yeah, it's
I think they do miss the veteran guys. I think with Leddy and Suter gone and having the lack of experience, especially in the third pair, you just don't have that ability. Guys who've been around the block and know what to do and know how to avoid bad situations. With this top 6, you just don't have that sort of experience that you had last year at this time of year when you had Leddy and Suter playing.
I think that could be part of it also, because that could be a consistency factor. It could be a coincidental thing. They're having down nights when Hofer's in goal. It's not like a mindset thing or anything like that. It's just a mediocre team plays off and on, good and bad. And right now they're just catching the coincidence. Or this is what Cam pointed out, and I like this because it is an actual X's and O's answer, and I love those when we can think of them. How much of those potentially are, 1, juicy rebounds, which Hofer's giving up more than Binnington, and 2, secondary plays or broken plays that come from the fact that Joel Hofer can't handle the puck and restart attacks the way that Jordan Binnington can. So how many times is that Sidney Crosby's what Sidney Crosby's goal against Hofer was, and Cam kind of theorized this on his podcast and on KLIS with Andy Strickland. Was that a purposeful shot that Sidney Crosby took off his chest because he knew these guys give him juicy rebounds? I'm all alone. No one's going to be able to check me. I'm going to be able to just grab that, pick it up, and put it away, which is exactly what Sid the Kid did. And then the puck handling factor, no doubt how much better Jordan Binnington is at that than Joel Hofer.
But everybody's going to make mistakes. I thought it was notable the other night with Columbus that They just took a couple long shots, just put it on the net and see what happens. And now go back to the Blues opener with Minnesota, where they just shot the puck into the chest of the goalie all night long. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, if you're at the dot, why look for the perfect pass? Why not just take a shot at the net and see if it goes in? Or how about this concept? How about get somebody to the front of the net and either take the goalie's eyes away or have the puck bounce off of said person in front of the net and deflect into the net? How about that?
And again, that's why scouting and reports are important, because certain goalies are going to give juicier rebounds than other goalies, and so that should be a scouting thing. It's not going to work against some. Some are going to be cleaner. Other guys are going to be a little bit more rough. They're going to be more willing to some guys just their style of saves. They're going to be more pad heavy and things like that, and take advantage of it. Like Samuel House says, garbage goals still count. Absolutely. And that's good scouting by the Penguins, or good scouting by other teams. And that factor is that they're jumping on a weakness that Hofer has, and the Blues need to figure it out. The Blues need to figure out in what ways they can help Joe Hofer on the reception end, on the restart and the attack end.
Meanwhile, I talked to a big fan today. He said, I'm going tonight, but I'm not going to watch the Blues. I'm going to watch McDavid play. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that Connor McDavid is the scariest and most entertaining player in the league.
He has to be. I mean, that speed is... calling it game changing, it seems so trite, but it's just that's what it does. It's literally if you guys ever played any of the street games back in PlayStation 2 days, they used to have this thing called Game Breaker, where after you did a bunch of cool moves, you would fill up a power bar, and at the end of the power bar, you have to do a Game Breaker, and at Game Breaker, it was a guaranteed score essentially. And that's kind of what Connor McDavid feels like, where it feels like he hits those boosters, and it's like, this is game over. Robert Thomas returns. That's a big deal, because you talk about it as well. When Robert Thomas is dialed in, his defense is a factor from the center position. Obviously, the playmaking is the big thing, but he has that level to be a plus defensive player, and Selke Award potentially quality defender from the center position. So getting him back in matters, and obviously the Blues make a move to bring in the always dependable Calle Rosen. Good to have him back. Corey Schooneman, we hardly knew you. I didn't.
He goes to Washington.
I really didn't.
And but it'll be nice to have Rosen in the organization. There was a stretch there a couple of years ago where he was really the Blues' best defenseman.
He really was.
And he's a good guy to have in your organization. And I don't know if he was brought in as anything more than just insurance in case there's an injury, or if they think that at some point they will need a good, steady defenseman, and somebody will have to, a 22, 23-year-old will have to get sent down. You never know. And so I'm glad that the Blues have Rosen in the organization. He can't help but help. How about that?
Yeah, why not? Get him back in here. Costs nothing. Same deal as last time, or same deal that Schooneman was on, $775.
Yep.
Easy, good move. Again, I'm waiting to see. I'm sure it's out right now. Actually, let me see what the line combos are today, because I'm sure they've shifted them up a little bit. And with Robert Thomas now officially in the lineup today, and I'm really fascinated to see what the line combos we're looking at. Morning skating lines was Booch, Thomas, Snuggerud.
Okay.
Ooh, Schen's getting kicked out to the wing. I like this. I like where we're already at, Randy. Schenn, Suter, Kyrou for the second line. Holloway, Dvorsky, Sundqvist on the third line. I like that third line.
Me too.
And then Toropchenko, Bukestad, Joseph for the fourth line. I like what they're doing tonight. Oh, I like those line combos. It looks like Mayu extra, Kessel's in with Tucker for the defensive pairings.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's 2 games in a row with Mayu up in the box.
Well, he's got to pick it up, obviously.
I'd say so. Yeah, being a -9 through that.
And maybe that's what I'm suggesting is with the acquisition of Rosen. Maybe that's what they're.
I think it's there. I mean, Kessel hasn't really grabbed the spot, the chances they've given him. It's been more that he hasn't been good enough. So they said, we'll give Mayu a thing. The thing about Logan Mayu, and we talked about him last week, is my point about him being like, all you need to see him is just get a little bit better every game. That's true if you're winning games.
Yeah.
That's true if he really is the the third pair defenseman that's playing like 12 minutes or something like that, or like 14 minutes, and you don't need to lean on him, and the rest of the team is getting it done. But when Colton Parayko and Cam Fowler, definitely 100% Cam Fowler, when Colton Parayko and Cam Fowler and your forwards who are supposed to be getting it done aren't getting it done, you just can't screw around with Logan Mailloux having a slight little increase in development game by game. He's got to either play and be what you need him to be, or he's got to be up in the box or in the AHL.
So tonight I'm going to be watching. I've got 4 games at once. You've got the Blues, you've got SLU and SEMO. I assume you'll be over there, right?
God, I'm so excited.
Mizzou opens up at Howard, and then you've got Monday Night Football. The Cardinals taking on the Cowboys. SLU is going to be interesting, and everybody that's close to the program is really intrigued about what this team is capable of, and I know that you're one of those.
I'm so pumped. I mean, I'm just happy because basketball's back, and I absolutely love basketball. And getting to watch it up close and personal is the absolute best. Yes, Samuel, how they better beat SEMO. They are favored by 30.5. And I believe is what I saw. Yes, they should. I'm just excited because there's so much fun basketball stuff that's going to happen this year. Just to wit, they haven't done it yet, but Josh Schertz keeps saying there's a chance they have a 5-guard lineup where Amari McCautry, who is 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan, is the center. But then I got to ask him about this. So the Jazz are playing a supersized lineup with 7-foot Walker Kessler, 7'1" Lauri Markkanen, and 6'11" Kyle Filipowski. But both Markkanen and Filipowski can shoot. So offensively, they can spread out the floor fine. Defensively, there's some other questions. But the Jazz are like plus 42 in 60 minutes, which is it's one of the highest scoring 3-man pairings right now in the NBA. So I asked Josh Schertz about it. They could play that same thing now with the Billikens, where Robbie Avila, 6'10", can shoot threes. Jax Kerr, the freshman who's not going to redshirt, 7'1", can shoot threes. And then Paul Otieno, 6'9", and he's your shot blocker who can also actually kind of shoot threes every once in a while. So like they could play these supersized lineups where they have 3, 6, 9, power forward centers on the floor at once. They could play a 5-guard lineup. They have shooters all over the place. Brady Dunlop from UCLA, from St. John's. If you watch a lot of college basketball, Brady Dunlop was the kid at the St. John's game who was on the ground doing the sniper celebration after they hit some threes. Somebody else in the crowd at a Billikens game needs to be doing that celebration for him this year, because he's going to be the one taking the 3-point shots. Ishan Sharma, Trey Green, a lot of these guys, if you Google them right now, there's reasons to have some trepidation because they didn't put up numbers. But man, these guys could explode as shooters because they all have that grain. Trey Green was hitting 42% of his threes in practice over the summer and into the fall. They got shooters. They got Robbie Avila, who's a top 50 player. I just actually broke down, if you want to go to my Twitter, Rock STL, or you can check it out at STLSportsCentral.com. My roster breakdown for the Billikens. I had scouting reports for all the players.
And only 2 guys back, right? You've got Avila and Thames, and those are the only 2.
Amari McCautry.
McCautry.
And Dylan Warlick as well is returning as well, but he'll be deep bench player. But if you look at Robbie Avila, when he's on the floor last year, they are one of the best teams in college basketball. And now when he leaves the floor, there's actual depth. And so I know I'm glazing. A lot of people are saying, are you overhyping it a little bit? I'm excited because they're undoubtedly going to be better than next year, but there is an absolute ceiling on this team that if they hit, it's going to be a perfect time in St. Louis also.
And Mizzou is at Howard. Tigers returned 7 players from last year, and the only team in the SEC to return 3 starters, Mark Mitchell, Trent Pierce, and Anthony Robinson II, for a team that had a great run before a bad stretch run and then made it to the NCAA tournament. Let's see if they can be a little bit more consistent. But another coach that's done a great job in the transfer portal and has the cavalry on the way next year is Dennis Gates at Mizzou. And they should be really good again this year.
Yes, they should be. And it's going to be interesting. I was talking to Grant Salzman, who's a big Billikens fan and a big Tigers fan. Me and him are both in the same situation where we're big Tigers guys. We went to Mizzou, but we love basketball, so we watch a lot of Billikens. And he agreed with me, even though there's only 3 returning Billikens, it's almost like you already know what the Billikens are supposed to look like this year, but there's still a lot of question marks around Mizzou about what they're going to look like this year, because I like that he's willing to change things up and always has a different plan and things look a little bit different, but sometimes you want a little cohesiveness and cohesion, if you will. That's probably a better word. And that's what they've been lacking. So, I mean, you have Ant Robinson. He's one of the best guards in the entire nation. They've added some shooting. Can that shooting actually develop? It's a similar question that the Billikens have. The Tigers have as well. I think the Tigers are going to be a tournament team this year, but I couldn't get through the maze. Like, I know versus Howard is the start. In the NCAA tournament is the end, and I believe that is the picture of this season. But I couldn't draw my way through that maze if you gave me the entire year. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but I am confident that Gates has a plan or we'll figure one out.
Cole Bassett's left foot. You don't guard a Balkan Illini guard. You survive him and maybe learn a little Serbian on the way.
There you go. I like that.
So, there you go. So that'll be fun. It'll be a fun season and a lot going on tonight. A big night of sports, should be great. And don't forget, after our area games, Blues, Billikens, Tigers, we have post game here at STL Sports Central. Check it out.
Yeah, let me get you the schedule really quickly, because the rough schedule that we have, so you guys can kind of plan your night. And if you don't want to, if you're bad at scheduling things, just hit the bell button. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell button.
Bing, bing.
That way you know when we're going live tonight. But in case you want to schedule things out, right now the kind of cursory plan we have for post game shows is about 8:30 p.m. for the Mizzou post game, and that's going to be Chris Pelican joined by former Missouri guard Kareem Rush.
Great.
At about 8:30, 9:30 post game. I will be hosted by myself, and I will be joined by special guest contributor Bob Ramsey, who will join us for our post game after he wraps up the broadcast.
I wonder if there's a bad call tonight, if it might wind up being the worst call Bob's ever seen.
There's a good chance of that, because every time it re-ups. That's the incredible part about officiating nowadays. So me and Bob Ramsey, special guest contributor Bob Ramsey, at 9:30 p.m. in the late night post game tonight will be our good friends Mike Meyer and Thomas Welsh, who will cover our Blues post game at 10:30 p.m. and hopefully they will be covering a win and not a magic number 8.
And speaking of a win, congratulations to Masyn for winning his first Gold Glove. Youngest Cardinal ever to win a Gold Glove. That's pretty cool. That is the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central. Thanks so much for joining us. For Wilson, who got us on the air, Matthew Rocchio, Rob Fischer joined us. We appreciate you being a part of the show, and we will see you next time here at STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.